Here's the problem that I hear when I talk to our clients. First of all, they're spending a lot of money on paid ads because they know they need to market. They want to grow, so they're marketing. And they're also telling me, Dom, I don't know why we're running paid ads. We're already busy. I don't know if we should be doing it. I just feel like I should.
What we see is that selling work to an existing customer, it might cost like a tenth of what it costs to acquire a new customer. We should be leveraging that asset before we go out and look for more work.
Hello and welcome to the show. My name's Dominic Rubino. Today we're going to be talking to Daniel Dixon, and we're going to be talking about how to make sure you're getting the right kind of customers into your company so that you get the right kind of profit margin out of your business. How's that for a nice little bow on top of what we need to talk about? So Daniel Dixon's an expert on that. Now, I met Daniel through one of our business coaches. Some of you work with this business coach. It's Adam Sylvester. And as many of you know, Adam runs two of his own contracting businesses, and he's the host of the Jobber podcast. So he's a very well-connected guy. He met Daniel and said, this guy's got to be on Dom's show. So here we are, full circle, right? I love it when we've got, when you could say, I got a guy or I know a guy. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. Anyways, he's going to be filling us in on that. Before I let you go, though, make sure you stay tuned for the end of the episode because I'll fill you in on the Christmas water project. It's going gangbusters. I have to say, just a heartfelt thank you. We're helping people we're probably never, ever going to meet. And isn't that the nicest feeling in the world? So stay tuned at the end. I'll tell you where we're at with the donation, how the impact is going, and how you can take part. Actually, I can tell you how to take part now. Leave a like or a comment on any of the episodes, whether it's on iTunes, whether it's on YouTube, or anywhere you listen, and we track those. You can also, as somebody pointed out, leave an unlike or an uncomment or a comment saying you don't like it. Either is fine. You know, I've got a thick skin, but that's the way to do it. All right, listen, let's get to the episode and we'll see you on the other side. Mr. Daniel Dixon, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, Dom.
Yeah, this is really good. I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited because I think we're going to talk about something people think we don't need to be talking about.
I'm always excited to talk small business and contractors. It's just, that's my jam.
That is your jam, isn't it? Well, isn't that funny? That's how you got on the show.
Yes. Yeah. I think Adam from the Jobber podcast introduced us. I think we were both guests on the Jobber podcast and connected us, which is awesome.
Which is good. Well, not only, I mean, both you and I were guests on that show, the Jobber podcast, but Adam Sylvester is also one of the business coaches on our team.
Yes. And a client at Sinjin, one of my clients.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Small world. The home service industry is very small and well connected. And the thing I love about it is really everybody in general is helping everybody else.
And isn't that different than when we started? I mean, I'm not assuming you're my age, but you've got a couple of very blonde hairs on the side of your head. Is that fair to say? A couple? Just a couple. Yeah. See how I said that? Very blonde.
Very blonde. Yeah.
Very blonde. So for people watching on iTunes, or listening on iTunes, you won't see the YouTube video, but listen, I speak from gray-haired experience.
Wisdom.
But it didn't used to be that way. Do you remember back in the day, it was like, we got to protect our trade secrets.
I feel like it was before my time. I've just always approached things with an abundance mentality.
Yeah. I did not grow up in a world where abundance was a thing. And isn't that crazy? Because there are, building codes that tells us all we have to operate the same way. Now you get fancy in there a little bit, but when I grew up, it was certainly don't tell anybody what you're doing or how you're doing it. And I felt it was one of my mandates to say, let's get rid of that old world, and now here we are. I get to interview you, pick your brain, you share openly, I share openly. And guess what? We all get better. Nothing's been lost. We all gained.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
We should probably get to the point here. I'm going to ask you a question here. Big one. Daniel Dixon. Who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing contractors all over the world?
Yeah, great question. It's a bit of the stars aligned, I feel like. My parents owned a home service business, and so I grew up around it. They said, don't break your back, go get a good job in an office that has a pension, right? And and so I took that to say, well, I didn't want that. So I joined the military and had a really fun career. I got to launch rockets out of Cape Canaveral. It was awesome for a different podcast.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it was really cool. And then, I got my MBA and I went to business consulting in the big fancy office and traveling all over. And I just kept coming back to I really loved the being an entrepreneur and
Mm.
the idea of like being in charge of my own destiny, and really not the concept of not trading time for money. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I started a carpet cleaning business. I cut my teeth. I actually started with my parents because they were retired, and I talked them out of retirement to help me. And I was like, "You guys know how to do this," and so we started something. We sold it 5 or 6 years later. It wasn't big, but I learned a lot.
Mm.
And in that time period of all those experiences, I got to be asked to be the CEO at Syngym. It was a bit of a turnaround at the time in my consulting and technology background with the Air Force and with home services and my MBA. Like it all just kind of all the stars aligned and collided, and I got to lead this really cool tech product.
Yeah.
And now I own an epoxy floor coating company that's been very successful, and I'm still at Syngym, and I just love the entrepreneurship in the home service space.
It is incredible what we're able to do these days. It's, I was trying to explain to somebody much younger than me. When I started my first businesses, to have an office, you had to like buy a phone system. Right? There was no cell phones. There wasn't even pagers. You had to buy a phone system, and the phone system was like 20 grand, 40 grand, depending on the size of the company. Like that was a burnt built-in cost before you made a dollar. And now, I mean, you can buy burner phones for nothing. Just to try a company.
Yeah.
And not that I'm a big expert on burner phones, everybody.
Yeah,
I'm
what do
just
you know
saying,
about that?
yeah, right. Why are you buying burner phones? But do you know what I mean? Like the cost is just ridiculous now. The barrier to entry, but that barrier to entry being low also means there can be a lot of low end competitors, which are fine because they're just static noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the knowledge too, right? Like you can go out and find the information on how to do any home service online and YouTube, AI, like it's all there for you. So to your point, the barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You might laugh. Well, you're going to laugh at this. That information's always been available. I was a high school kid and I knew I wanted to start my own company. So I would go knock on doors and get home fix it, basically home handyman gigs.
Yeah.
And so I'd get a gig to like fix a deck. And then I would go to the local lumberyard. And at the, when you just walk in on the right hand side, there was that revolving rack of flyers, how to fix your deck, how to tile a bathroom. I would go take that flyer, walk through the store, buy what I needed to buy, and use the flyer to fix their deck. So, I mean, this is just the technology's changed, but it's always been there.
Yeah.
How do you learn how to fix a deck when you're a high school kid and Toyota pickup truck? That short box one with the roll bar on? That was my first truck,
Yeah. Well, really cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's get to you though. I want to talk to you today about something that I think people are going to really enjoy is how can I stop paid ads and still grow? Because here's the problem that I hear when I talk to our clients. First of all, they're spending a lot of money on paid ads because they know they need to market. They want to grow, so they're marketing. But they also think paid ads is the only way to go. And they're also telling me, Dom, I don't know why we're running paid ads. We're already busy. I don't know if we should be doing it. I just feel like I should.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that little jumble of yarn in your corner and get you to unravel it.
Yeah, it's a great question. And there's so many different answers depending on where you are in your business and what your goals are. Right? Like if you're a very small entrepreneur, you might not even have money for paid ads, and you're listening to this and you're like, I'm just getting started. Like, I hope I can run paid ads someday. And then you've got the people that, are the
couple
next
million
stage.
in sales. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple million in sales, and maybe they want to go to 10 million. And it's like, you got to run paid ads. And what else can I do to get there? And then you've got the people that are at the spot they want to be. Maybe they even want to downsize and still make just as much money. And it's like, well, how do I stop running paid ads and get higher profit, better jobs, higher profit, better margin jobs. So There's a little bit of something in there for everybody. But I think in general, companies have this addiction to getting new leads because that's how they grew from the very beginning. Right. And it's a bit of like going to the gym and working out your biceps. And you say, I know I need to get strong biceps to start my business. I know I need to get leads and new jobs to start my business. But then after 10 years of going to the gym, that's all you did was biceps, right? And it's like your arms are huge, but like the biggest muscle in your body, your legs are like they're like chicken legs. They're not doing anything for you. And so it's a little bit like that we are really good at acquiring leads if we've gotten to a certain stage in our business, because that's what our business required to get there.
Right.
But to get you to the next level, you need something different. And doesn't mean
Yeah.
you have to stop doing biceps, or maybe you want to stop doing biceps, but you got to do other stuff too. So that's what we can, I'd love to share about today.
Yeah. I like that perspective, by the way, because a lot of people are feeling pretty guilty and like, hey, can he see me behind the screen? I've got huge guns, but my pegs are not that good. But yeah, you're right. And we hear this as well, or we remind people of this as well. At some point, you don't want to just get all the leads in the world. You just want the best leads.
Yes.
I'll pay for the best leads. The rest I don't even want. I don't want the bad ones. So this is why Adam introduced you and I, because you have some pretty unique experience on hyper targeting.
Yeah.
The best deals, I guess. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah. So Syngym's a company that I'm the CEO at. We have a couple thousand home service contractors using our product. I use it in my own business. And it really does two things. It gets you the best leads if you're looking to acquire new leads. And I know that's not what our show is about today, but it also really helps, I think, fill the gap or the holes. One of the biggest holes I see in home service businesses, which is it helps you get the more revenue or more money out of your existing customer base. And I think that's a huge miss. When you go to sell your business someday, the number one thing that's going to value that business is the size of your customer base and how much more they can sell to it, right? Can they sell other products to it? Can they sell more of the same product to it?
Right.
But if you're acquiring a business that just gets a new customer, every single job has to be acquiring a new customer. That business isn't worth that much because there's no recurring revenue. You can't get more out of the same existing customer, and getting new customers is really expensive. And they can just start a new business that acquires new customers. So why do they need your business?
Why do they need to buy you? Yeah.
Yeah. So these businesses, they build up this customer list, thousands of customers. It's the most valuable asset in your business. And that's what people will pay for, but then they don't utilize it, right? An asset's something that should make you money. And just like a piece of equipment or a rental property or whatever, that's what an asset is. It appreciates in value and it makes you money. But we have these really valuable assets in our business and we don't use them to make money. It's kind of crazy. It's like having a ton of, if you understand interest and investment, right? It's like having $1 million of cash and like leaving it under your couch cushion at home instead of like invested or at least getting like a savings bond, right? Where you're getting
something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That customer database is the most important and probably the hardest thing you've ever built. Harder,
Absolutely.
For people building closets or cabinets, those feel like they're hard to build. You love doing it. But actually, it was harder to build the database of past customers. And the same if you're a roofer or a home renovator. And so going back to that list and harvesting it or making the most of it is where you really shine.
Yeah, absolutely. So a perfect example, right, is myself. So we took the huge plunge and got a really nice new kitchen, updated our kitchen. It's 15 years old. We did that this last year. Well, guess what? My house is 15 years old. So after we have a beautiful kitchen, the next thing on the list is the bathrooms, right?
Right.
And it's like, I haven't heard from my contractor yet, right? After a year of, hey, what about the bathrooms? Right. I haven't. And so I've got all these other use cases. And, if I was really wealthy, I'd be like the garage too, right? Or like the bonus room, or there's all
outdoor kitchen, all these other things, right?
Work on the walls. Like there's all these other opportunities. And I'm really their ideal customer. I just don't have time to reach out to them. I don't have time I'm not thinking about that on the daily basis, but nobody's marketing to me about, hey, I already know, like, and trust the contractor that I used. They did fantastic work. I would use them again, but they're not even considering the fact that I might buy from them again. Like they're out there looking for their next customer.
Right. And you could be their next customer.
Right. And the easiest person to sell to is someone that knows, likes, and trusts you and that you've already done work for. So, what we see in the business that I run and helping people maximize the value out of their customer list or increase customer lifetime value, if you want to use fancy terms.
Love it.
What we see is that selling work to an existing customer, it might cost like a tenth of what it costs to acquire a new customer. So if you look at the cost of customer acquisition or how much marketing dollars you'd have to spend to go get a new customer, maybe that's $500 for your business. Maybe it's 200, maybe it's 1,000, depending.
Maybe you don't know the number.
Maybe you have no idea.
Isn't
right?
that's the worst? That's the pit in your
Right.
stomach. I don't know that number.
Yes. And we can go into that too. But whatever that number is, let's say it's $500.
Sure.
You can pretty confidently say, I can get the same revenue from my existing customer list for $50. So unless we're doing that already, it doesn't make sense to go acquire new customers, right? We should be leveraging that asset before we go out and look for more work.
So are you asking me, I'm going to do this on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to set you up. This is a softball lob coming in. Are you asking me if I would rather spend $500 for a new customer or $50 for a new customer?
That's exactly right. Because I don't care if that customer is someone that's already done work for me, right? Instead of saying for a new customer, I'd reframe it as, would you rather pay $500 for your next good job, or would you rather pay $50 for your next good job? And then you're going to say, Daniel, that's dumb. Like, obviously it's $50. And then you say, okay, great. Well, how do you do that? It's by going to your existing customer list instead of going to look for the next new customer that you have to convince, right? That's getting multiple quotes from other contractors and you're trying to convince them to choose you.
Are you running a very busy cabinetry or mill workshop, maybe even closets? You're already in the $2 to $4 million range and you're trying to find ways to get up to that $5 to $10 million range. But at the same time, you realized you're not profitable. You're working extremely hard. You've got a pretty good team around you. You've got lots of business. And at the same time, you're still not making money. Well, you're probably ready for something that we call the Profit Pack. It is 5 coaching documents that I'm going to share with you here. Just send me a text and I'll shoot them off. There's nothing to hide. I need you to have this information so you can grow, so you can finally put money on the table for you and your family. So you're not always the last one paid. Does that sound fair? 5 documents in this package. So I also want you to put some time aside on your calendar to go through the documents. Figure out which one you need to do first and which one you can do last. Figure out which one's going to have the most impact and which one is a supporting document to help you do that. There's 5 in here, 4 PDFs and 1 Excel spreadsheet. You need this document. You need some sort of guidance. If you're already at that revenue level, but you're not profitable, something's missing. And I can tell you what I know already. It's not your effort, because you're probably the hardest working guy you've ever met. So now we just got to get you sharp and focused on the right things. Grab the Profit Pack from me, shoot me a text. You'll find it changes things for you. My cell phone number is 315-903-7853. I would be proud for you to have this and grow your business. Let's define that number for a second. And I'm going to go back into, the you and me, the MBA talk for a second.
Yeah.
This is not everybody, but many people think that when guys like you and I talk about tracking the numbers in your business, we're talking about their financials. Those are some of the numbers, but they're not all of the most important numbers. There are operational or marketing or throughput numbers that we need to track that are just as important. And one of those numbers that I'm going to do this so it's funny, and then I'm going to let you save us. Okay. The number you're talking about is CAC.
Yes.
Now, you and I have a no swearing policy on the show. So maybe I'll get you to identify what is CAC and how does it enter this? See, people are giggling now. What is my CAC?
Well, I'm going to pretend that
I'm not from Boston, by the way. So everybody listen with a clear mind. I'm not from Boston.
We're going to make it in very simple terms. All right. So let's say you spent $1,000 on marketing this month and you got 2 new customers. So very simply put, you take all the money you spend on marketing, the $1,000 divided by the number of customers you got, which was 2. And then your CAC, or your cost of customer acquisition, would only be $500. I say only, right? That could be very expensive, but just depends on your industry. So if you're selling an average ticket of a new kitchen, $100,000+ your cost of a new customer for your industry might be $1,500. If you're selling window cleaning, right, and your average customer is spending $500, your CAC might be $100. So there's benchmarks in your industry, and I encourage you to research that, with other businesses that are maybe ahead of you or doing well in this space that understand that number.
Yeah.
What is a good CAC for my industry, and what should I be targeting? You may be thinking I'm doing terribly, and you might be doing great, or vice versa.
I just need to know the number.
Right.
And then, as we know, we're all humans and we're all a little bit competitive. Once I know that my customer acquisition cost is $500, well, now the job is simple. How do I do it for $4.99, for
Yes.
$4.89, for $4.59, and still maintain the quality of customer I need? Which takes me to something that's another one of my favorites, and I know you guys deal with a lot. So I'm going to rely on your Send Jim expertise. Something called a heat map. Can you start by explaining what a heat map is and how any contract, and again, it doesn't matter whether you're a roofer, renovator, you're doing kitchen cabinets, or you're doing tile remodel, it doesn't matter. How does a heat map work?
Are you referring, Dom, to the heat map of a geography of where we can work that is
Yeah,
the best?
geography is the most common type of,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So want to make sure, but that's what the page I was on to. Geographical heat map. So for example, when I started my carpet cleaning business way back in the day,
Mm,
what we did is there's a large neighborhood. It was about 2,000 homes, and we had one truck, and we never left that neighborhood. And every marketing dollar we went into this neighborhood,
right.
and we guerrilla marketed there, like free marketing. You're thinking about knocking on doors, handing out neighbor made, like giving flyers to the next door neighbor of your job, right? Like the 5 arounds or the clover
Yeah.
leaf, a lot of terms for it, but doing that, putting yard signs. And pretty soon, all the work we did, we kept a full-time truck busy. We did a couple $100,000 a year in this one
In
neighborhood.
that one
And
place.
yes, in this neighborhood, everyone that saw me are like, "Oh yeah, I know you guys. You guys must have 5 trucks. I see you every day in this neighborhood." And it wasn't that we had 5 trucks, but we were so concentrated in this heat map,
Yeah.
and we didn't spread ourselves thin. And people just, that if you lived in that neighborhood, there is no one else you were calling for carpet cleaning. And it was a snowball effect, right? Of like, they kept seeing me, they're seeing me everywhere. And so my marketing was more effective. It wasn't diluted. It's like putting a drop of water, food coloring into a cup of water versus a swimming pool. Everybody sees the water turn blue in the cup, but if you put the drop in the swimming pool, it still looks clear. And so, how do we get our brand recognized? We start in that cup of water, right? And
Right.
I did this whole talk on this about fishing in puddles versus fishing in the ocean. And I know you're a fish. You like
I
the outdoors, right? So
yeah, I love it.
my analogy is like, Dom, if I told you today you had to go catch a fish, right? Like the first thing I would say is, do you want to go fish in this little backyard pond that is full of fish, or do you want to go in the ocean? There's way more fish in the ocean. There's bigger fish in the ocean. There's trophy fish in the ocean. But if you're trying to catch a fish, like where's your best place to catch a fish today? Gun to your head, you have to catch a fish. What would your answer be?
Oh yeah, I'd go to some pond full of crappies and perch.
Exactly. You want
Yeah.
to fish in the puddle, right? Like you can throw a hook out there without bait and catch a bluegill. So it's
Yeah.
we got to learn to fish in puddles and find the puddle, dominate the puddle, and then find that next puddle or the
Yeah.
pond before we move into the ocean.
Yeah. And this doesn't matter what trade any of us are in listening to this show. And I would even argue the people who think, well, I do sell those $100,000 kitchens, or we only do 100,000 renos. So Daniel, nobody's going to buy a second 100,000 reno. Nobody's going to buy another addition to their home, or we build pole barns, or we build garages. Nobody needs a second garage, or the zoning says you can't. I want to let's get in front of the person who's saying that right now. When we use a heat map, we're not just going after that customer again. We're going after
The neighbors.
all of their neighbors.
That's
Why would we
right.
want to? And again, this is going to sound very silly. Why the heck would we want to go after their neighbors?
Yeah, the neighbors are the most have the highest probability of being just like your customer, right?
Yeah.
So if you sold me an expensive kitchen, there's a really high probability that my next door neighbors are more like me than anybody else in the city,
Right.
right? Because they have the same income, because they're living in the same type of neighborhood. They have the same home value. They have the same home age. There's a really good chance they have a similar home age, right? And so their
Yeah.
kitchen's the same age. They're experiencing the same problems. They have the same income. They have the same time constraints because they have the same type of family, their same age. Like
Yeah.
all of these similarities, I could go on and on and on, work in your favor because they're defining the best person for you to sell to is your ideal customer profile
Right.
or your persona, right? You've probably heard these words, may not know what they mean, but it just means if I bought your product, like I'm your ideal customer, then how do you find more people like me? And the next door neighbor is very, very likely to be similar to me.
Right.
And so we want to, by definition, market to those people. And on top of all that, that's going for you because they're the same type of person and same home and all that. they just saw you at my house for the past month or 2 weeks or whatever that project was. And they saw the trucks out there and they saw potentially a yard sign. And they're thinking like, hey, even if they don't like me, they're looking outside and be like, hey, what's
There's
Daniel
trust. I
doing?
recognize that
Yeah.
truck. The guy
Yeah,
with the
what's he
orange
doing at
circle
his
on his
house,
van or
right?
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
they do like me, they're going to be like, hey, what do you guys got going on at your house? Oh, I'm doing my kitchen. Oh, really? I'm in the market for that. I like it. Oh, you should check these guys out, right? So like now we're so close to like already selling the neighbor and you haven't done any marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing to the neighbors is just the next most logical step.
It is. I'm going to take us back to a definition that maybe some of the people that have been around for a while recognize, but you said guerrilla marketing. So I'll do the first part and I'm going to get you to the second part. Folks, if it's your first time hearing guerrilla marketing, it is not guerrilla like at the zoo or in the Congo or, a smaller version of King Kong. It's not that kind of guerrilla. It's guerrilla like as in guerrilla army, Guerilla, that type of guerrilla marketing, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't ask me to spell it because
I could have gotten it wrong. Some retired school teacher is going to text me, Tom, you got that wrong. But can you do us a favor? And since we're in this world of marketing and you talked about guerrilla marketing, people have probably heard it, but might not know what it means. What is guerrilla marketing in its sort of bigger context?
Yeah, I might not have the perfect definition, but when I think of guerrilla marketing, think of the things that the big companies can't do. Right? Like maybe it's not scalable, but as a small company, it's like where we can fight and win, right? Like think of the American patriots versus the British, right? Like the Americans in the in the Revolutionary War are like hiding in trees and jumping out and surprising people, and you got the British big fancy army marching in lines, just getting mowed down, right? So it's like, well, how do we do that in business? How do we fight that way in business? How do we do things that the big companies can't do? It's things like, hey, I'm going to give you a secret right here. I don't give this out, but I'm going to give this to your audience. One of the best things I ever did, and it's kind of like this ninja trick or guerrilla marketing, is whenever we complete a job, we say, hey, by the way, Mrs. Smith, if I took $25 off your invoice right now, would you be willing to give me an honest review in like your neighborhood Facebook page or your next door page or whatever?
Wow.
And then the first thing they do is like, absolutely. And they pull out their phone and they're like, hey, Daniel's company was amazing. Here's a picture, right? And people buy from other like people that are telling them like they had a good experience, right?
Customer third-party testimonial.
Yeah, that's worth more than that $25 that I just gave up is worth more than $500 I could pay for marketing.
We just talked about customer acquisition cost.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be worth
every
it.
time I get that, right? Like I'm getting another job out of it, where in my business, customer acquisition cost is around $500. And like now I just got a job for 25. That's an example of guerrilla marketing, right? Can I give away, if I'm just starting, think about how do I do this? So I'm just starting. Hey, how about you clean one of your best friend's house or your neighbor's house for free? And in exchange for a post, right? Or clean it at your cost in exchange for a post or something like that. Those are guerrilla tactics. And there's a lot of them out there, but
there are so many. I mean, we've had kitchen companies, whether they're kitchen renovators or kitchen cabinet companies, sponsoring the open house. Like, when you invite your friends over, hey, we just had the renovation done. Oh, here's the cutting board. Here's their charcuterie board. It's from Dominic's Kitchens and Cabinets. Oh, he was great. Oh, he also provided a couple bottles of wine. You guys should come over. And so now they're all over. And guess what they're talking about? Wow, your cabinets are great. This kitchen does look great. Oh, that's a nice appliance. And it's all done. And guess who gets the credit for it? And that's how that word spreads. So guerrilla marketing is just that underworld way of like you said, what do you call? Oh, what's the military term? When you've got opposing forces, but one hits like leveraged fighting, force multiplier fighting. You want to use signage. You want to use business cards. I mean, the easiest thing to do is when your crew shows up to a job site and you park the truck out front, the crew leader goes and talks to the house on the left and the house on the right and says, hey, you may not have seen our trucks here before. My name's Dominic. If you've got any questions, here's my card. We're doing this job at this house. We're doing cabinets. We're doing the roof. We're doing the rent, whatever. Call me if you've got any questions. And they'll be like, well, that's great. I will call you if I've got any questions. And then by the way, what are you doing kitchens? Come and look at our kitchen.
Yeah.
And there you go. There's the next job, or at least a lead. And I've paid nothing.
Yes.
Nothing for that. Nothing. Which means that my profitability on that job goes through the roof. And we already know how far it is to drive, where the supplier is. All of those random factors get removed because now we're dealing with a known customer in a known market.
Hey, by the way, speaking of like the profitability goes through the roof and knowing who you're dealing with, right? There's just in business, there's going to be a certain percentage, hopefully it's small, that are customers you never want to work for again, right? But if you market to your existing customer
Yeah.
list and to who you want to do work for again, you are taking that out of the equation. But if I go acquire a lead on Facebook or Google, right? Like there is the normal percentage chance that that's going to be an awful customer. And so another benefit of marketing to your existing customer list is like you, to your point, you know exactly who you're working with. Oh, this person's going to be a little bit more difficult. Like I'm going to jack the price up and make sure we get the right margin, right? This person's super easy. They don't care. Like, great. We're going to knock that out and make a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this into another direction again. For those of you who are listening, who are thinking, "Oh, this is cute," but we're in commercial. None of this applies to us. I'm gonna pump the brakes for you. I was just speaking at a large conference in California, and during the conference, there was other successful California companies there, and there was a huge commercial millwork company there, massive, like they do multi-million-dollar commercial jobs, and they were using the same strategy, but they did it with a food truck and an ice cream truck. So let's just take the ice cream truck for an example. They would go do a lunch and learn at an architect's office, and then they would park their ice cream truck downstairs so that everybody at the architect firm could come down and get a free ice cream. The problem that we have today is people are working from home, especially the white collars. So if you want to get them in, say, look, we're going to do a lunch and learn on Tuesday, and we'll have the ice cream truck there. You're going to get people coming to the office just for that ice cream. And now they've got that goodwill built in. They're now getting people to the lunch. You can see where this is going. It's guerrilla marketing again, because people don't think of doing that. They do the same thing with the food truck.
Yes.
You're getting people engaged in your brand. You're getting people engaged in what you do. And then, of course, who are they going to refer to? If you say, hey, who's a company that does large millwork projects? You're like, Ice Cream Corp? They're the only ones I know. They're the only ones in the city. They're the only ones in the state. Sure they are. No, they're the ones who gave you pistachio ice cream.
Yeah. The other thing too, along those lines, that's applicable to commercial and residential as well. But can you tell me every person in your customer list knows all the services you offer? The chances are no, right? Like,
Yeah,
do
true.
they know that you do other things too? A perfect example of this is like we used our contractor to do the kitchen, and I didn't know that he would just paint like random rooms. Like he has a painting crew, right? And I'm like using someone else that's more expensive and whatnot. And it's like I didn't know. Like you didn't tell me you did painting. So do they know all the services you offer? And then what we do this simple thing in our garage floor coating company with our commercial contractors is like every 6 months. Hey, by the way, are there any other colleagues in your line of work that we should know about or should know about us that you'd like, that would find benefit from the great work we do type of thing? And it almost never fails that we get a new contractor on board because they're
Just
like,
from
yeah,
that.
we've used you for years and you're great. Yeah, for sure. I'll help you. Here's so-and-so, you should call them.
Yeah. You just have to ask the question, right?
Yeah. Yep. So marketing that list costs nothing, right? We don't have to pay for a single lead in that doing those things.
Hey, are you running a family business that just happens to be a cabinet shop or maybe a millwork shop, or maybe you do closets, but you know what I mean? Finished wood trades. Well, we've created something just for you, business handoff checklist, because and I know a family business is just a little bit different than any other business. So this is a tool, and we built this tool to show an owner like yourself how to have a focused conversation and make it a successful business transition, however you want it to be, right? It's your choice at the end of the day. So we've got a couple of scenarios laid out for you. I'll talk about them in a sec, but remember, this is a simple system for a very human conversation. And if you enter that conversation wrong, it gets spicy and it's hard to pull it back. So we wanted to have a no pressure way for you to talk about the family business. So if you want it, just text me, it's called the Family Business Handoff Checklist. Okay, so it's a PDF download, and that means you can have it in your hands pretty quick. There's a bunch of scenarios or situations myself and my coaches have seen. And so what we did in this document is laid out in really simple terms the different situations, or you might call them scenarios or paths. And then when you see that scenario or path, you can follow that path. But you can also see what other people might be doing in their situation. And that way you can mix and match as you need to. Hopefully that makes sense. It will when you see the document. So here's the scenarios. Number one, look, I know who's going to take over the business and they're ready to start now. Boom. There you go. Scenario number one. But the other thing we see sometimes is I know who's going to take over the business, but they're not ready to start now because blah, 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 whatever it is. Then we've got a situation where you just want to sell it, hand over the keys to your team, and walk away. Okay, there's a path for that. And still other people want to sell it to an outside buyer. And I would hope cash the big check and head off in your RV, right? So that scenario is in there as well. And again, you just follow the path that makes the most sense to you and your situation. Here's the fifth scenario that we see. I want to keep the business, I want to run it for cash flow, and I want to hire a GM. That may or may not be a family member. So there's a scenario there. And then, of course, number 6, I call it the steam valve. I'm just not sure what I want, but I have to start thinking about it. So all of those things are laid out in this PDF. I want you to have it, especially if you have a family business and you're in the finished wood trades. It's called the Family Business Handoff Checklist. Long title, but spot on. Send me a text. My phone number is 315-903-7853. Just text me there and say Family Business Handoff Checklist, and I'll know what the heck you're talking about. And then we'll send it off. Well, you've mentioned SendGym a couple of times. We should probably tell people not necessarily about SendGym itself, but what's that space you guys occupy in the market? Because not only are you the CEO, but you use it in your own trades business. So what's that space you occupy in the market?
Yeah, so we automate marketing for home service companies or contractors, and we do it in such a way that uses data in your company and your CRM to get very, very targeted. What I mean by targeted is we're all about sending less marketing messages or spending less dollars and getting a better ROI. So we're not going to replace your Google AdWords account. We're not going to replace your Facebook. We're not trying to steal you away from any agency you're using or replace your broad scale mailers or TV commercials. Like, that's not what we do. We use the data in your CRM. We connect to your CRM, and then we can automate very, very targeted messages, right? So if you, let's say my contractor was using SendGym, when they scheduled my kitchen to be done, we're connected to his CRM. And then SendGym on his behalf, when that job gets scheduled, would automatically start marketing to the neighbors of myself.
Smart.
Right.
So it would say, hey, our truck's going to be whatever.
Yes.
We can make it say what we want, but hey, our truck's going to be in the neighborhood. Watch out for us. Come say hi.
Yes. Hey, pardon the dust, right? Those type of messages to the neighbors. Then during the job, you can be messaging them when the job's completed. And then we even offer a review management tool through Nice Job. And if you're using that, what's going to come in the very near future is if that customer leaves you a review through the review management software, we'll put that review automatically on a postcard and then send it to those neighbors. So we say, hey, look at the review your neighbor gave to this company. And so we're just getting really smart. So instead of sending 5,000 cards, let's send 5 cards to the neighbors.
To the
5 closest neighbors.
You know, I used to do all this stuff manually. One of the companies one of my companies was a Christmas light company. You had to make it when it was the time to make it. But the painting company that I had, I would do something called a 5-5-10 strategy. So whatever, walk up to the house, the 5 houses on the left, 5 houses on the right, the 10 across the street. But I'll be honest, I could only hit them so many times. It would have been nice if I had the foresight, or just even the people in my company, just get those addresses, send them little mailers, and remind them.
Yes.
And this works in other industries, by the way.
Yes.
You think about, there's real estate agents they call it farming in real estate. And they're doing it to you and I right now. When I go home tonight and I look at the mail, guess what? There's a pad of paper that's been sent by the local realtor who says, I'm the top realtor in your neighborhood, whether they are or not. But the more they mail me, the more they remind me they're the top realtor. And if you came over and said, hey, who's the top realtor in this area? I'd be like, this guy.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other name.
Right. That's absolutely right. And then there's other things you can be marketing too. Like that example was customer acquisition. But for example, if you completed a job at my house, Dom, your company, and you had a painting company, right? Like 3 months, maybe 6 months later, every 6 months after that, we should be sending me a postcard. Hey, did you know we offer interior painting? Hey, did you know we offer exterior painting? Hey, did you know we offer whatever it is, right? Making them aware of other services, just staying in front of them, because I have painting projects here that I want to do, but like no one's reached out to me about painting, right?
Driveway sealing, all that stuff. Yeah.
Whatever it is. So marketing additional services to the same customer, and then even quote follow-up. So how do we automate that? You might have like text messages that are cute that go out for, 5 times out of your CRM, or your sales person reaches out 5 times. I don't need that. My sales guy's on top of it. What about a year from now? What about 2 years from now? When someone says no to a quote, that's a no for now. It's not a no forever. They reached out to you because they wanted to have the work done. And when they said no, there's a bunch of reasons. It's not no because I hate you. It's no because I got busy. My kid got sick. It was more than I thought, so I got to save for it, right? There's a million reasons, but we send messages like that every quarter to people that have quotes that are more than 6 months old. And then we just stay in front of them. And every quarter we close, $50,000 more work on people that told us no.
They told you no 6 or 8 or a year, yes. 6 or 8 months ago. It's interesting you say that, because I've actually heard that same thing from other industries, and you're not going to believe this. Private equity and angel investors, because I go to these conferences, I go to the trainings about, business acquisitions and dispositions, and there's angel investors up there, right? These are the people that give big money to startup tech companies. And I know that somebody from the audience had asked this, and I'm sitting there listening to it. So somebody said, hey, listen, I've tried to follow up with angel investors like yourselves, and you just never got back to me. So it feels like no angels want to deal with us. Maybe we're not investable. And the guy on stage goes, no. We probably got busy.
Yeah.
We get busy. We got a deal. My entire company is now focused on chasing that deal. And we probably forgot about you. Not because you weren't important, because you were number 2 or 3 on our list, but at some point you're going to be number 1 again. So please just keep marketing to us. We're not being impolite. We just forgot. And it's the same thing for homeowners. It's the same thing for strata councils who we're marketing to. It's the same thing for builders and renovators that we might be marketing to. Just keep marketing. The only thing people can do is say yes or no or maybe later. I'll take any of those answers. I'd prefer yes. But even the people who say no really are maybe later.
Absolutely. Very, very rarely did they change their mind, right? They reached out because they wanted to do this project. That doesn't change that often. It's most likely, hey, I went with another company. Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. Or they still want to do it. There's something else going on. You think about your target market, they have money, which means they probably have a good job, which means they probably work a lot, right? They've got a lot of stuff going on, and it's just, they're busy. And how often is painting my walls the number 1 priority? Not that often, but if I stay in front of them, I'm going to get them at the right time. And, if I don't, then someone else is going to get them at the right time, or they're going to Google, a year from now, they're going to forget and they're going to Google someone else.
I just completely forgot that I was there. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Daniel, this has been fantastic. Listen, if somebody wants to find out more about you, or maybe your what's the company name again?
Yeah, Send Jim. That's SEND, like you're sending something, and then JIM, like the name Jim, sendjim.com. You can reach out and chat with us there. We have success managers on staff that would be more than happy to meet with you and just strategize about your marketing and maybe how you could get more targeted and market to your own customer list.
What's the history of that name, Send Jim?
Yeah, great question. One of our co-founders, Josh Latimer,
still not a Jim. Hold on, I saw his name. I'm like, his name's not Jim.
There's not a Jim. Was very big in the exterior cleaning space. He grew his company by really marketing his existing list and doing it at the right time, right? So 6 months from now, they need to clean again. And 6 months from then, they need to clean, and all these different thoughts. But someone was manually pulling lists like, okay, who do we need to send stuff to today? What quotes do we need to follow up with? All this. It was like a full-time job, and stuff got messed up, and employees don't show up on time, or they get drunk and get in jail. Like, there's all kinds of crazy stories.
Normal stuff.
Him and his partner were just like, it'd be great if we had this robot, this fictitious employee, and we're going to name him Jim, and we're going to have him do everything. So every time they had an issue with an employee, they'd be like, that's all right. We'll just send Jim to do it. We'll just have Jim do it. We'll just have Jim do that. Yeah. And so then they kept saying that, and they're like, oh, we're going to create a company called Send Jim. And when they sold their exterior cleaning business for a lot of money, they said, we're going to build this product, and it's going to do all these things in automation. So employees aren't there to screw it up. And so that was the concept. Now it's a very odd name, but there is a story behind it.
There's a story behind all those things. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Well, Daniel, I appreciate it. So if people want to find you, it's at Send Jim. And then, you're on LinkedIn as well.
I'm on LinkedIn. You can email me, daniel@sendjim.com, but definitely our chat will be the fastest way to get to me, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from you. And Dom, thanks for having me today. It was a blast. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, Adam was right. Adam, it's hard to become a coach on my team. All the coaches on my team have to be running their own successful business to the point where they've got time to learn how to be a business coach properly and to do it as well as run their company. And that's what Adam does. And when my coaching team makes a suggestion, I take it pretty seriously because we've all got pretty tight filters we look at the world through.
Well, that's a huge compliment, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Daniel, we'll have you back again soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Dom. I appreciate it. Take care.
Bye-bye. 3, 2, 1. Well, Mr. Daniel Dixon, thank you so much for joining us. You're a busy guy running your own epoxy flooring company and also running Send Gym. It's great to have you here. I really like your insights and the way you pick things apart for us. And look, folks, I hope you got what I got. There is a way to go back to your existing business and monetize it again. Go back to the people you've dealt with in the past, and they already know, like, and trust you. All the work's been done. Why not go back and maximize that? What a great way to go. So thanks, Daniel, for walking us through that. As Daniel was talking, it occurred to me that one of the tools that I think you would benefit from is the essential list of cabinet shop, home builder, renovator, and remodeler SOPs. Inside that SOP is a marketing SOP, as well as a production SOP, as well as a referral SOP. And the reason those are important is because they line up exactly with what Daniel and I were talking about today. So if you want that, that's a long title. What do we get you to say? So you're going to text me. I think just text me the word essential list of SOPs. That's short enough. And then I'll know which document to send you back. The full title of this thing, it's huge, is the essential list of cabinet shop, home builder, renovator, and remodeler SOPs. But you just have to say essential list of SOPs or something like that. And then we'll send it off to you. When you send it to me, you got to send it to my cell phone. Here's my number. It's 315-903-7853. And listen, the Christmas Water Project is coming along gangbusters. We've got, so far, because of the likes and comments, 265 gallons of water. That is the same as 88 3-gallon tubs of ice cream. And I know talking about ice cream when we're trying to help people who are next to a dump to make their living is a little bit callous. But I'm trying to help you visualize the impact you're having. You and I may not be able to fly down there and help them, but we can send our help there by just giving them our love. And the way to do that is leave a like or a comment. It's the easiest way for us to have an impact just from sitting at your desk, just like or unlike an episode. So thanks very much, folks. If you want the essential list of cabinet shop, home builder, renovator, and remodeler SOPs, just send me a text. And again, my cell phone number is 315-903-7853. 315-660-2973. Thanks for checking in, folks. As you know, this podcast is just an excuse for the day when you and I can have a cup of coffee, glass of wine, maybe an old fashioned, maybe an ice cream together one day. And I look forward to that more than you'll ever know. Until then, we'll see you in the next episode.